Unlaced podcast. It's actually not bad. It's really good, bro. Well done.
Okay, folks, I start with the slogan, the welcome back to another episode of the Unlaced podcast. Awer Mabil, man, my boy, my former teammate from Adelaide United, current Socceroo superstar, bro. Thank you so much for dialing in, for coming on the show, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. I remember our days playing together at Adelaide. Those were really, really nice days. We were young boys also, so
Yeah,
pleasure, man.
it's a pleasure. We're going to go into a bit of our journey in Adelaide because I think, I look back on it and I think it was so much fun, but I think it was also really a pivotal time in your development and your growth as a footballer in person too, when you came into the first team as a kid. But before we get into that, one of the things that's really unique about you and amazing about you with what you've achieved is your background and where you've grown up and how you've come to Australia and the history before football was really even an opportunity for you. So I do wanted to give a bit of background to our listeners on where you grew up. So from my understanding, your background is actually South Sudanese, although you were raised born and raised in Kenya, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So can you explain to me a little bit about your upbringing in Kenya? Because I've got a few questions around that, because I actually don't know too much of this, although I played with you. So a lot of this is education for me as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I was born in a Katuma refugee camp in Kenya. So my parents, they flee South Sudan, I think it would have been 94 or 93.
Wow.
And they came down to Kenya, and I was born there. And I lived there for 10 years until I came to Australia. So yeah, that's a small summary of how I was, how I grew up.
Wow. So yeah, I'm aware that obviously Sudan through that period was going through a lot of civil wars and there was a lot of danger there. So I can understand the reason for everyone fleeing there. And obviously there's a huge Sudanese community in Australia. But just around Katuma in the refugee camp, what was that like? Because my only association with refugee camps is what I see here in Australia, and they don't look like fun. They don't look like a good place to be. So was it a nice place to be? Was it a hard place to be? Was it sort of can you explain a bit around that?
Yeah, to be honest, it's a really nice question. But for me, it was fun because I was a kid and really didn't worry. I just played with my friends and that's all I had to worry about. But when I think about it now, because I've been back there a lot of times since I've been back to Australia, seeing it from the perspective of a grown person, it's difficult.
Yeah,
it's really difficult. So I could only imagine the parents, what they had to go through, to try to keep their kids, just healthy, just feed them really. So to have that responsibility was something I didn't have.
Right.
But going back there as an adult, I saw it from my mom perspective, and
wow,
it's not easy. It's not easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That must have given you a bit of admiration to your parents as well for what they went through, I guess, or what they sacrificed to support you and your family.
Right. It gave me everything because, I have a single mother, and from there, it just made me think, wow, I never felt like I was missing a father because my mom just provided everything that she could, just to look after us. So, yeah, I really admire my mother for that.
Dude, that's beautiful, man. And am I right in assuming this? I actually spoke to someone the other day who played with Thomas Deng at Victory, and I was telling him I was getting you on the show, and they shared with me, which is fascinating if true, but I'm sure there's some alignment to this, just how true it is. But was Tommy Deng ever in the same refugee camp as you, or did he cross over in a similar path to you in regards to the South Sudanese background and growing up in Kenya?
Yeah, I think he was in the refugee camp just before he came to Australia. He came to Australia way before me.
Right.
So yeah.
We're
actually long distance cousins.
What? That is crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm just going to fast forward and then I'm going to come back. But why I'm going to fast forward to that is you and Thomas Deng made your debut for the Socceroos in the same game. That for me,
back to back.
Back to, you know what I mean? Long lost cousins, gone through this really hard upbringing, both gone into a refugee camp in Kenya and then made the move to Australia, and then you make your debut for the greatest like professional team you can in soccer in the country. You must just be so proud, bro. Like that's like pinch yourself kind of stuff.
It's something you can't, even if your wildest dream, you can't imagine that will happen like that. Because like you described, our journey, and we actually grew up together in Adelaide also. So we went to the same school. We were playing in the park together before we went to Melbourne. So then for that to happen is something that, I would always look back and be extremely grateful for, because he was playing right back and I was playing right wing.
God,
so
you're good.
Behind each other. So
attached at the hip.
It was, it was amazing.
Dude,
and for our community, it was something that was special,
Correct, man. And this is what I want to get into, because this is why it is amazing in the sense of not just what you're achieving, because anyone who's achieving what you're doing right now is incredible. But the journey you've had and the fact that you've gone through this journey, this hardship, and come out the other side is actually really inspiring, I think, for a lot of the young African Australian boys that are growing up in this country now. But just from, you mentioned Thomas Deng came to Australia before you, but when did you come to Australia? What year was that?
2006.
2006. And did you go straight to Adelaide when you came?
Yeah, straight to Adelaide, yep.
Ah, so Adelaide boy through and through, huh?
Yeah. Adelaide boy, man. Representing
Represent South Australia, all right. I want to talk to a bit of your time in Adelaide, because as I said earlier on the episode, Awer and I were teammates for Adelaide United, I think between 2012 and 2014. And my initial year, in the first year in the senior team, I think you were playing in the youth league for the youth team, and you won youth player of the year. But you were training with the first team, so you were, in my eyes, you were always going to be a first team player. It was just a matter of when. But prior to, I guess, your Adelaide United journey, were you just playing in the streets? Were you playing locally? Like, what brought your love for football to life?
Yeah, it's quite funny, because I never really played organized sport until I was 13, 14.
Yeah.
And I was playing amateurs. I started at St. Augustine's, and then from St. Augustine's, I went to Playford at 14. And then at Playford, straight away, I got picked up by Sassy.
Wow.
Which was coached by Tony Vinmar. So it was quite funny, actually. So I was invited to trials, because I'm used to being late to everything.
I know. I've got some stories about this.
And this, and this was a life-changing for me opportunity, So I went to the game, and I was late. They already played 30 minutes or something. I went behind the fence. I jumped the fence. Then I come from the other side, and then I ran. And then I say, is this Tony? And then he's like, yeah. Then I'm like, I'm Awer. I'm one of the guys trialing. Okay. There's not long left of the game, but just go on and try to do your thing, and see what happens. So I went on there, and then I tried to do my thing, and then 2 weeks later, I got an email saying that I made the team.
Wow.
And for me, that was the moment where I was like, yeah, this is going to change me now, because this opportunity where I would be training almost every day in an environment where, firstly, my mom doesn't have to pay the fees for registration.
Yeah.
I'll be getting a scholarship. So there, I really put my head down and said, okay, now it's either I do this or I'm going to end up just wasting this opportunity. So yeah,
that's amazing. So for those that don't know, SASI, so it's the South Australian Institute of Sport, which is like a legitimate program. But just to clarify, so you turned up to your trial late, jumped the back fence, hit the coach on the shoulder and said, bro, sorry I'm late, but like I got to play. Yeah. And then 2 weeks later you got in.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is Awer Mabil-esque from what I knew of you as a teenager. Oh man,
that defines me a lot.
Yeah, that does. But you know what? I'm sure, knowing you would have screwed your head on and took the most of your opportunity. So, progressing through SASI was naturally a pathway into the youth setup for Adelaide United. So I assume, at what point did you come to the youth team? Was that in 2012 when I arrived, or was it before that?
Yeah, so actually, when you arrived, I was a train-on for the youth team. So I was training with the youth team, but I was not playing games because I was a train-on player. And then at the end of that season, I think it was like 5 or 6 games to go. Somebody got injured, and Barker-Daish told me, we're gonna put you on as a injury replacement player. And that was the best day of my life because like I was just training, catching the bus to training,
Yeah.
And just to be part of Allah United was something that was big for me.
For sure.
And to be offered a injury replacement contract was something that was big for me. And I think it was 2012. And then I played the last 5 games with the youth team. And then at the end of that, I ended up getting called by Mickey. And they're saying I was going to get a first team contract. I was like, that's weird. But I was just waiting. And then it didn't come to life. They say you have to train with us for preseason. And that's when I did preseason with you guys.
Yeah.
And then the next season I played my proper youth.
Your full
contract,
season, right?
Full season, yes. And then that's when I made my debut.
Yep. So who did you make your debut under? Which coach was it? Was it Cozzy or was it when Mickey Valkanis was the coach?
Yeah, it was Cozzy. It
was Cozzy. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So because
before Cozzy left.
Before Cozzy left. Yeah. All right. So now I'm up to speed because I remember it's almost 10 years ago, man. Yeah. Like it's crazy to think how quick that's gone. Wow. But this is how
time flies, man.
Time flies, bro. And you were really, from a talent point of view, I think everyone could see how good you were. And even in training, like you would make some of the senior boys look silly, which was funny. But at the same time, you were like really raw with your ability. Like, and it took you a bit of time to understand how to work with some of your teammates and play to the level of what the coach wanted, like without the ball. Because when you had the ball in the front third and you could do your thing, that was like Awer Mabil's music. You know what I mean? It was everything else then. And when you started to get like a bit of that happening, then I feel like your journey with Adelaide was just enormous. Like I remember playing with you, and this is funny, but like this is a true story, and this sums up how confident like you were with your mentality. But do you remember the game we played Sydney and Del Piero was playing? And this would have been your your first real season as a professional.
Right.
And I don't know how, but we had a lot of players out that day, and we got a penalty. Yeah. And I was the one taking the penalty. I was 2 years older. I was 2 years older than you, and you were 17. And you were like, no, I want to take it. I want to take it. And we had like a little argument on the spot, being like, no, I want to take it. You're like, I want to take it. And I think back to that, and I'm like, yo. Yeah. But you know what? Johnny came in and was like, Jake's taking it. And then we're like, oh, okay. But it's, you know what? In all honesty, what highlights to me that story was like how much belief you had in yourself. And I think without that belief, you wouldn't have been able to achieve what you did at such a young age, coming through the journey you did. But like, from a confidence standpoint, was it the work you put into the game, or did you just genuinely believe you had the ability to be as good as you were?
I'm a very humble guy, and my motto is always to work harder than everybody. And if somebody works harder than me, I study them and try to, learn from them and then try to outwork them in some sense. So I always have that belief that I can do it. And at that time, like, I felt like I could also take the penalty. I believe in myself.
100%.
But I could have missed and it could have killed me. Also. But I had that belief. I was like, it's time to take the glory. And I was lucky. We had the senior boys and to tell me, hey, maybe it's better not to put that pressure on yourself. Let somebody who's experienced at that time was you, who's one of the best kicker, because Kruska was not on the field also.
Yeah, that's why. So, Kruska, Bruce, those players weren't there.
Right. So I always have that belief in me that I can do things, but it's because I think I put in the hours to try to deserve that. But I'm never an arrogant guy.
No, not at all.
Know me, but I just believe in myself a lot and believe that I can do it. That's.
Dude, it's beautiful because there's like naturally some things you could do on the field that people have to work really hard at that you could do naturally. And it's not too, people will say it's natural, but I also think like knowing you and actually playing the game, you can't just do all those things naturally. Like that comes from hard work, like your skill, your one-on-one dribbling, your shooting, your free kick taking. I remember you were hitting like the ball from the top of the ball, dipping it over the wall. It was like super impressive for a young kid. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about your time in Adelaide was after you made your debut with Cozzy, obviously Josep Gombau came in, who I've spoken on this show before about from a coaching standpoint with Bruce and obviously some of the other players who were there when we were there. He was an incredible coach, and he obviously transcended our journey and even football knowledge for, I think, young players like me and you at the time to learn so much more about the game. But he loved you. And I just wanted to get your opinion of like him and I guess how he helped you through that period.
Yeah, I think that was a big moment for me because we all remember the first day Josep came and I think he came straight from the airport into training or something. and then we had the training and after a couple of weeks, we just had this bond. I don't know how to describe it. And I felt this love, like it's sort of like a father figure, which I've been missing in my life, and maybe I was looking for it, and then I felt somebody who's just, showing me that love. So it was the best thing because it's football, and it's somebody who's like a father figure for me, in a sense. Yeah. So then when he came, he's like, Awer, I want to resign you because I want to work with you. I want to try to develop as much as as you can. So there I resigned, and then the love I experienced from Josep is a love I never experienced from not many people. You know what I mean?
In what sense? Like from like a coaching level, or just for the game, or like when you were playing under him?
The game is almost like you can say is a full package. Yeah. Because as a person, and the vibe he brings to the team, and the way he communicates with everybody, even if you're not playing, because I was not playing a lot. I was coming on 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and I still had that hunger because he was giving me that. Because the easy thing for me to do was just to be like, hey, I did well when I came on. I made an assist or I scored. I need to start the next game. But at the same time, he knew how to guide me and not to let me get ahead of myself. So there was a love from every aspect of in terms of life and football, the knowledge, and what he taught us was something. I went into every training knowing that I can improve. I didn't go into training just saying, okay, we're doing this exercise today, and we're just repeating that every week. Like Mondays is this exercise, Tuesday is that. It was like it's up to me to decide today because this exercise is actually gonna make. So it was something that I haven't experienced much since. But yeah,
man, it's pretty cool because he did. Like I feel like we all developed under him because you're right. Every session it was almost like up to the player. Like what I put in is what I'm going to get out because you know what he's teaching you. Right. Like he came from La Masia, which is coaching all the youth players in Barcelona. Like the amount of players he's coached that have played for Barcelona is unbelievable.
It's ridiculous, yeah.
Yeah, as much love as he gave you though, and he was a father figure to you in regards to off the pitch and on the pitch, he was also still very firm with you because of how much he believed in you, and he tried to teach you a lot of harsh lessons. And I had Bruce on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and he brought up a story that I wanted to bring up with you that I completely forgot about and I was a part of, right? But so just for reference, right, Josep Gombau came to Adelaide in 2014, and probably the first part of the season, I reckon you were coming off the bench a lot. You weren't necessarily starting, but he was sort of molding you into the team. By the end of the season, very different. You were starting almost every game. And one of the games, which was towards the end of the season, we couldn't remember if it was Melbourne Victory or Melbourne City, but we were playing in Melbourne at Amy Park. I wonder if you're going to remember this. And
I remember.
Yeah, you do, yeah? Okay, good. So there was a team meeting. I think Bruce said the day of the game, but I've got a feeling it was the day before, right? Because I'm the other piece of this puzzle. But anyway, So there's a team meeting, and Josep is speaking to the players, and he's saying this different movement he wants to do with Michael Zula going here and Tariq going here, and the ball up there, and we cross and da da da. And little does Josep know that he looks up and sees Awer Mabil sleeping in the back row, and he goes to Awer, wake up! Like he goes, what did I say? And then Bruce said, you tried to answer him, and instead of saying, hey, I was asleep, you said. No, you said to do this. And Bruce reckons it was the complete opposite. So what Josep decided was, okay, Awer, to teach you a lesson, I'm going to call up Pal, tell Jake Barker-Daish to get on the next plane to come to Melbourne. Awer, you're out of the squad. And I got a phone call, and I had to get on a plane straight away to come to the game. And then we ended up losing, and Bruce is like, you know what? At the critical part of that moment, we needed Awer.
Yep.
True story?
I remember that.
True story?
It's a true story.
Oh my God.
Bro, I cried so much after that, man, because I said the complete opposite to what he said.
It's so funny to me.
And he was just like, Awer, get out. So kicks me out of the room. I went to the toilet, started boiling my eyes out.
Oh no.
And then he called you to come.
Yeah.
And it was the day of the game.
It was the day of the game, was it? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was the day of the game.
Oh my God, man.
That was a big learning curve for me.
But see, that's what I tried to highlight with him. It was never personal. In his mind, he did that to teach you a lesson, not to do it. You know what I mean? It was all positive, and like that was his thinking.
Right.
But just to highlight the end of your Adelaide United career, like you've come in as a kid, an Adelaide boy with this tough journey. You had a remarkable start to your career because you were electric. I mean, what you were doing at Cooper's, exciting the fans, scoring goals, assisting goals, taking on players, it was a joy to watch. But winning the FFA Cup in 2014 must have been like a bit of the cherry on the cake for you, as I guess you started to phase your time out at Adelaide. So, I did want to understand a bit more of how the move out of Adelaide came, and obviously into the Danish league, which is now still going for you. So I'd be interested to know a bit more about that.
Yeah, it was a nice time to finish in Adelaide because we had started something special with Josep, and we all know that, and we all knew that within 2 or 3 years we were going to dominate the league no matter what. Because
correct.
The foundation that Josep sets was something that you've withstood to that. Adelaide will be winning everything, but football happens the way it does, and obviously people moved on and Josep moved on, but I'm also sad that I left early because the year after was the year Adelaide won everything.
Correct.
And for me, I think it was because of what Josep said.
Completely agree. I said this as well. I mean, without Josep, Bruce said that Awer did things a little bit differently, but fundamentally, 90% of it was what Josep taught us.
100%. 100%. I agree with that. And for me, like I've always wanted to play in Europe, and I had Josep guiding me also at that time. And to be honest, I think Josep knew he was going to go because he would have not let me go, because I went to him and said, Josep, there's an offer for me now. It's good for the club and it's a good way for me into Europe. So Josep pretty much said, yeah, just take it. And I've never seen Josep talk like that before.
So he knew.
I think he knew. Yeah. So a week after or 2 weeks after I left, he left the club. So yeah, it wasn't a sad time to leave Adelaide, but I felt I could have developed more with one more year under Josep. But at the same time, you never know what could have happened. So
correct.
Sometimes you just have to take the move that's there, and yeah, it happened the way it did. And then I went to Denmark, and obviously I played at the start, but then the second season I didn't play so much. Towards the end of the first season, I didn't play so much. So the first season, when I moved over to Denmark, there was a lot of talk in the media, obviously saying he's a big talent, this or that. And then I went over there, and then I played a little bit, and then faded off a bit. Didn't play as much as I would like. but I understood why I didn't play. So I went out on loan two seasons in a row, and then I came back, and ever since then I've been in the team at my club, and I think I've done okay, playing a good role in us winning the championship and qualifying for the Champions League. So everything has a reason, you know what I mean? So that's the way I look at things now. But at that time, it was hard for me to look at it because I wanted to go over and play straight away.
Correct.
Because I had that dream.
It's natural.
Play for, So then when you go to Europe, you get a reality check on some things that you need to work on. So that was the start for me in Europe. Didn't start the way I wanted to, but yeah.
I've got a couple questions just around that. So first, how do you actually pronounce the club you play for? I've always had a tongue twister with it. Midtjylland. Okay, FC Midtjylland, which is a massive club in Denmark, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to go into Awer's played this move as a little bit, but like Awer got signed for 1.3 million Australian dollars, which for any domestic player in Australia is a huge amount of money. Because we don't have millions of dollars coming at players here, because obviously in the A-League, it might not be seen as the same value as other parts of Europe, but that is an astronomical fee. And probably to me is very cheap for your ability. But just before we dive in a little bit deeper to what you've actually achieved there, because again, it's unbelievable and it makes me very proud. How is the standard different for you? Like you mentioned, obviously you get a bit of reality check going to Europe, but when you say that, what do you mean?
Yeah, like you mentioned at the start, like you say, I have a good ability 1-against-1, for example. I can do all those attacking stuff. The reality check was defending and, being able to have an end product every time you try to do something. You have to try to have an end product. And also when you defend, you have to defend with your life, sort of. So that was a mindset that I didn't have before. I would just want to attack and forget about the defending part. So that was a big check for me, and something that took me a while to understand. But once I understood it, I was like, okay, that makes sense, or that made sense why I didn't play so much.
Right, understood. So after a couple of years, you went out on loan. I think one of the clubs was in Portugal. Where was the second one?
Right. It was in Denmark.
In Denmark as well. Okay, beautiful. Yeah. So were they like harsh learning curves for you going there, or were they actually really beneficial? Did you feel that actually helped you?
It helped me because it helped me in the sense of just playing consistently, so I can develop. I think you develop a lot by playing games. Yeah. And there I played a lot of games, and I had no choice but to develop because I was facing those game situations. Yeah. But it was also harsh because it was 2 relegations in a row. And I was starting to question myself: Am I good enough? Why did 2 clubs get relegated in a row that I've been to? You know what I mean? So
that wouldn't have been nice feeling.
No, it was tough. But yeah, I think tough moments sometimes are needed in order to grow.
Correct. I couldn't agree more. That was beautifully said. I do want to talk about what you have achieved, though, because, it is fair to highlight the initial year. It's always going to be hard, a young kid going to Europe, and we've seen it with a lot of young players in this country that go there. It's not easy. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. But you really have stuck at it because you've been, I guess, as you said, you've gone out on loan 2 seasons in a row in your second and third year, which would have been challenging because you obviously want to play for Midtjylland and play in the highest competition in the country and also fight for Champions League football. But if we move forward, those hard times have obviously made some of these next moments sweeter because Midtjylland did go on to win the Danish Superliga and also the Danish Cup, the 2 biggest trophies you can win in Denmark, which must be amazing. Like that feeling for you as the club would have been huge. I don't know too much about the Denmark League, but any honor like that must be massive.
Yeah, it's something that's, amazing for the club. And especially to win the cup meant a lot also because they've never won it before. I think they've been to 4 or 5 finals, and they always just seem to, mess it up in the last moment. Wow. So to win the cup and also the league was something that was amazing for us to achieve. And collectively as a group, it was something that helped us bond together And I think that's what helped us qualify in the Champions League because we grew together. We lost the league the year before that by a couple points, and we made sure that the year after we dominated. And then we did that as a team, and we won the league by, I don't know, like 18 points or something.
Damn.
The following year. So that was something we grew together as a team, and also
Denmark in front of your home fans.
yeah, it's quite interesting. Like the fans are not as there's not a lot of fans, but it's okay. Similar to A-League kind of fans.
Same, okay.
And then you get a couple of teams where they have amazing fans.
Yeah.
So that atmosphere when you play there is like, it's kind of scary at the start. you get really scared, yeah. But after a while you get used to it. But what I like about it is it's the fans, they engage with the players. So like, I know here in the A-League, we come out for warm-up and then we clap to the fans and, wave to them. But over there, they sing. They have a song for every player.
Wow.
So when you come out for warm-up, you're warming up and they'll sing your name.
Wow.
And then you just leave the warm-up automatically. Leave the warm-up, go and cheer to them, and there's sort of like something they do, and
wow.
they sing your name, and then you go do that. Yeah. So like you really connect. So like it really motivates you.
Wow.
And when you score a goal, they say your name and they sing your song. So it's like you connect a lot. I know here in the A-League, maybe it will come to that point one day.
Yeah, hopefully.
But you really connect with the fans in that sense, and it gives you something to really play for. Because
that's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
So what I want to talk about here, because I've got this is a big win for me having you on, because not only are you my friend and former teammate, but I've got a Champions League footballer on the podcast. Like, that's massive, bro. Don't worry about you playing in the Champions League. I've got a Champions League footballer on the podcast, right? But man, I just want to acknowledge, like, Champions League football outside of the World Cup is the biggest and best and hardest competition to play in, to win, and to do well in. And like, you have had that opportunity, obviously, with Michelin winning the league and playing in it. Before I go into some of the achievements you had within the Champions League, like, I just want to ask, like, what was that like? Like, we're talking about a boy from Katuma refugee camp in Kenya that's gone through the hardship to get to Australia, that's fought his way into Adelaide, that's jumped the gate at Sassy and knocked on Tony Vidmar's shoulder and said, sorry, man, I'm late, to playing Champions League football in Ajax in the Amsterdam Arena. Like, man, what was that like for you?
It's, when you describe it like that, like, it makes me reflect, because sometimes, as a footballer, you're so competitive that, like, when you're playing, you just want to win. And you forget to look at the moments and be like, wow, man, it's been a long journey and it's something I should be grateful for. So it was amazing feeling, and actually right now I'm very like touched about it because the way you described it in a sense.
It's the truth though, man. That's how it is.
Yeah. I used to get up watching Champions League every morning.
And,
while I was playing in it, I was not really realizing it to be grateful for it. But after I played in it, it's something you can't describe. It's like, it's like a dream. It's like a dream, really.
Yeah. Was the standard like even a level up? Was that the highest level of football you've played at? Like the quality?
It was ridiculous, mate. The first game we had was against Atlanta. And we conceded like 3 goals in like, I don't know how long. And the coach was like, hey boys, wake up, you're in the Champions League. And that was like a moment where, in the Danish league, you can make 3 or 5 mistakes.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll score 1 goal.
Yeah.
There we made 3 mistakes, 3 goals.
Yeah.
That's just how it was.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, it's very robotic. The players, they just know what they're doing and they don't make mistakes when they have their chances.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was one of the biggest lessons there.
Right. So we spoke of me taking a penalty over you. Now, I want to talk through, so Awer Mabil, one thing is to play Champions League football, another is to score in the Champions League. and to score against Ajax from the spot, like, can you talk me through before you scored that, the emotions of like, holy shit, I can score a goal in the Champions League here?
Yeah, it was crazy because yeah, I got the penalty and I'm like, yeah, I'm taking it.
Good boy.
I grabbed the ball. I say I'm taking it. And we normally have another penalty taker. So there's 3 penalty takers. There's one of the main one, me. There's 2 other ones. So
yeah.
I won the penalty, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm taking it. And then once I was there, everything just clicked in my head, man. I was like, shit, if I miss, I'll probably never score in the Champions League again. But if I score, man, people in Australia are gonna be proud. People in Katuma are gonna be proud. So I was like, man, what do I do? What do I do? I say, just pick your spot and back yourself. And that's what I did. Just pick my spot and just put it there. Try to put it there as much power as I can. And
I had goosebumps watching that.
Yeah.
Goosebumps, bro. Like goosebumps, man. Think of us going back against Del Piero saying, bro, hey, well, I'm taking the penalty. and then now you're winning penalties in the Champions League and taking them and scoring them. It is, bro, like, I don't know if you're so close to what you're doing and achieving that you can't take a step back and go, holy shit. But like, I'm telling you, man, like, I'm out of it and I'm looking at it from afar and it's beautiful, bro. Like that moment is like, yeah, can you remember us waking up as kids at 3, 4, 5, 6 a.m. to watch Champions League games with the Champions League anthem? And like, that's pretty cool, bro. Like, that must have been awesome.
You're right. I haven't stepped back and sink it in yet because I'm still at that.
It's hard to do that, bro, because you can't do that in your position. If you do that, then like you get overwhelmed. You need to like, you need to be above the moment. You know what I mean? Because you want more of it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, but for me, I'm below the moment, bro.
I made sure I took the ball, the Champions League ball, and I'm gonna frame it one day. So,
fuck yeah.
Yeah, I managed to steal that. So I have it on my house. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's some of the A1 Mabil teenage days we won't go into, but no. So just to kick on from here, because one thing, as we mentioned, a bit of your background, South Sudanese, grew up in Kenya. At what point were you eligible to play for Australia? Was it from the get-go? Because I remember there was challenge with like the initial getting you ready for it.
There was a big challenge. So I had to get a passport, and actually Adelaide United helped me a lot with that. And it was Sue. Remember Sue?
Yeah, Sue Tripodi. Mama Sue. Shout out.
Yeah, Mama Sue. She helped me a lot, man. And I'm really grateful to her.
Beautiful.
For helping me achieve that and getting the citizenship of becoming Australian.
Wow.
And from there, everything was easier, you know. So yeah, I'm really grateful for that. I'm very, very grateful.
Yeah.
To Adelaide United and for everything, really, almost everything. Yeah.
Can you talk me through a little bit around your first Socceroo game, because you had played for Australia before the Socceroos. You'd played at the Olyroos and maybe the young Socceroo level, I think. But it's always different when you play for the senior team, I feel. Like, and especially as we spoke of at the start of the show, you made your debut with like a distant cousin in Tommy Deng, who is from a similar background and refugee camp as you. What was that like when that moment happened?
Yeah, it was amazing because I remember we got on the bus going to the game, and I was talking with Tommy. I was like, man, have you realized if we come on today, we're gonna make history, and we're gonna make so many kids, proud, and our community is gonna be. And for that moment, we didn't sink it in, but we just talked and said it would be really nice, but we didn't know if we were gonna come on. But we was just talking about it. And then when the moment came, to come on, Arnie was like, hey, well, come on. I was like, me? Was like, yeah, come. So then I went on, and then a few minutes later, he puts on Thomas. I look behind me, Thomas is there. I was like, yeah, I'm okay now.
Yeah, boy.
Because like, it just settled everything, man. Like, when I saw my brother behind me, it was like playing at the park. So I was like, yeah, I just have to be myself and then just try to do what I can do. Yeah.
Dude, that's amazing.
It was amazing feeling.
And then to go into that game, and this shows your humility because you didn't even mention it. You scored on debut, like you scored on debut, and you celebrated. And I think there's an image where you're celebrating with Tommy Deng, and you're dedicating it to a lost family member or something at the time, which again just made that moment even more heartfelt. But like. That's an amazing feeling. Like that moment again, celebrating. Were you realizing what you had achieved and what you did at that point with your brother next to you?
Yeah, I still have that photo that you're talking about now as my background screensaver. So it always reminds me, this Tommy smiling and me smiling is just something that's amazing, and to also score is something that you can only dream of. Not many people score for the national team, and to do it on my debut is something I will forever be grateful and proud of.
Bro.
Because if I can retire right now for my, finish football and be so happy, because I represented my country and I've scored for my country. So like, I'm so grateful, in that sense, and it's something that I'll brag about one day with my kids.
You better. I'll be bragging for you, but just like keeping on the talk track around you and Tommy, and obviously your history, like what you've achieved, and you've broken a mold of African and Australians who have, or other sort of nationalities that have come to this country and have struggled and have gone through tough times and not necessarily been able to break the mold of doing something amazing like you are. If you look at some of the community that you've come from in Adelaide, or to some of the younger African community that's in Australia, what would be your advice to them to help them sort of make them realize that they can achieve anything in this country? They can do anything they want.
Yeah, I think like one thing for us is sometimes we too much of a victim. We classify ourselves as victims and saying, oh, there's this, there's that. That's why I want to make it, or they're racist, or they're this, but that's not the case. There's opportunities here that we don't have. So you just have to put your head down and work for whatever that is that you want to achieve. I think that's number one, to work hard. And when you work hard, everything will take care of itself. That's for sure. That's for sure. Whether it's 2 months, whether it's 3 years, 4 years, but if you put in that work, it's gonna come. It's gonna show. Yeah. And when you don't put in that work, it's also gonna show. So no matter what, it's gonna show. So I think my biggest advice is, if you want something, just go out and get it and put in the work, and you'll start to see the results one day.
Amen, brother. Amen. That was beautifully said. I do want to ask you, right, as we sort of finish this podcast, but as you said, you could retire now and you could be happy because you have achieved a hell of a lot. Knowing you and your mindset, like you don't know how to stop, you're going to keep going, and every year you are going to want to get better and better and better. But at 25 years old, with what you've achieved, playing in the Champions League, scoring a goal in the Champions League, playing for your country, winning European titles, like what is it that you would want to do more? Like where do you want to see your career go to?
I would really love to have an impact on my national team. That's my biggest goal now, to go to the World Cup with my national team and win a game at a World Cup. Those are what motivates me now. And club wise, I want to play in England or Germany. If I can make one Premier League appearance, then I'm happy. So that's what's keeping me going at the moment. That's my purpose and that's my motivation. So that's where my head is at. So I'm waiting to tick off those things. I just have to keep working hard, and the rest will take care of itself.
Bro, no doubt, man. You've had an amazing career to date. You are a wonderful, humble person, bro. Like were always really respectful, polite, never really on time, but I'll give you that. But you were just a great teammate, man. I love playing with you. I always thought you were so talented. But before I do round out this episode, I do want to give you a little plug, because I know you're working on something in the background that we've spoken off air that I think some of my listeners will be very interested in hearing about. So you don't have to reveal all, but I do want to give you this opportunity to share some of your plans of what you're potentially looking to do outside of the pitch.
Yeah, so as Jake mentioned, I'm about to start a podcast, or looking to start a podcast, to basically help people in mental health, mindsets, and everything generally in life, to try to, talk to people and let people know that everything is okay. You just have to talk and share whatever you want to solve. So basically, I'm looking to start a podcast with my cousin, because every time we talk for hours, just like we're talking now. And for us, it's like a therapy,
Yeah.
So that's what we're wanting to share with people and share ideas of just life, man. So I hope it can go okay and people will like it.
Man, Awer Bull Mabil, I think you've won the hearts of some of our listeners. You're definitely going to win some subscribers, that's for sure. So some of those guys, people there listening today on the Unlaced podcast, please keep your eye out. We'll definitely plug it when it does come to life. Awer Mabil and his cousin's podcast. You heard it here first, guys. What an incredible talent. What an incredible person, Awer. I wish you all the best for the upcoming season, man. I'm looking forward to watching you go hard with the Socceroos across these World Cup qualifiers as well. So I'm sure we'll have to get you back on the show at some point, bro, when you're in Melbourne.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure. I mean, it's nice to see you again, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
Looking healthy and your podcast is great also. Just to also mention, I listened to it also. I've heard Archie Thompson one. And I'm halfway through Bruce Gitte's one. So
oh, my man.
I look forward to hearing the stories.
My man.
So, keep it up, man. It's a therapy for many people. So just keep doing your thing, man.
Love you, bro. Appreciate it, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah, love you too, brother.
Take it easy,
Take
bro.
care.